Okay, let's start. Welcome to the City Council meeting. Call to order the City Council meeting, Successor Agency and the Financing Authority meeting. City Clerk.
This is the roll call for the City Council and Authority. Council Member Authority Member Christ.
Present.
Johnson.
Present.
Mann.
Present.
Vice Mayor Vice Chairman Smith.
Here.
Mayor Chairman Paris.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Cito.
Call to order the Housing Authority meeting. City Clerk roll call, please.
For the Housing Authority, Agency Director Christ.
Present.
Harvey. Present. Mann.
Present.
Vice Chairman Smith.
Here.
Chair Zetto.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. The invocation tonight is with Bishop Don Sather from the I get that right, Sather? Okay. From Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. It looks like we're winning that lawsuit, so we're going to get to keep doing this.
Our Father in heaven, we're grateful for this opportunity that we have of gathering together this evening. We're grateful for this country that we live in and the freedoms that we enjoy. We ask thee that thou wilt bless those that defend it and their families, that they may have peace. We ask thee at this time to bless the council as they consider the matters that are put before them, that thy Spirit will be with them, that they may have wisdom. Bless those that come forward with their petitions and their positions, that they might be able to articulate them well. We ask thee that as we depart this evening, that all will be well when we return home, and that all things will be safe. And we ask for these favors and blessings in the name of thy Son, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. Vice Mayor, you want to do the pledge?
Place your right hand over your heart. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I see. So you're going to do that from the booster for who wanted me to do. So why don't you do first?
Want me to do it first?
Yeah, I'll do that first, and then I'll do the Grand Prix winners.
Marvin, it's not on, this one's not on the agenda. I'll do it now. Well, we have something that's not on the agenda tonight, so we have something to, thank somebody. Now, as you know, we have some awards tonight, and the Sheriff's Department in the Guns and Hoses trashed the fire department, and I heard that Chief Cozy wanted to break up your team so much that he had, I think he's giving, helping out Baca somehow, and he got one of your guys transferred on the team here, right? And in fact, he's so embarrassed, he couldn't even show up tonight. He sent somebody else, and this guy didn't even know that the fire department lost. So, but we have a special award for Mike Burke. If you could come up here, please. Oh, God. And that's not for being part of the team that beat up the fire department so bad. It's for 17 years of service here that he's given to this community in the Antelope Valley and dedication. And so we, as a city council and as a community, really appreciate it. And sorry the fire department got you transferred out, but I hope it's for better things, sir. Thank you.
So,
appreciate it.
Okay, we got the helmet awards for the go-kart racing, brought to us by Lancaster Honda. Thank you very much. The first one is Adam Chant, Vintage Styles and More for the Boulevard Association race. Is Adam here? So, anybody get hurt in yours? You weren't racing hard enough. And now we have the commissioner's race, and Stephen Derryberry, another great attorney in the city of Lancaster, the Lancaster Neighborhood Vitalization Commission. You're the chairman, aren't you? And you also know how to ride a car. Yeah, that's good. Could you have put more Hondas on these helmets? Thank you. Whoa. Okay, in the Guns N' Hoses race, Jonathan White, Mike Rust, Mike Burke, and Justin Fisk. You know, that really would have been disgraceful had you lost that. I was going to say, how did four of you get one? Get in here, Rhonda. Come on, Rhonda, get up here. No, right here. Okay, and Rick's going to help me present the Mayor's Gold Cup race to the Lancaster Honda team. Come on up, Rick. What?
They took first through fourth in the final race.
You took first through fourth.
The whole
The first four positions.
You know, I've been popping scams my whole life, and this just smells bad. All four, please. What did you do with those carts? Okay. Come on up here. Get up. Come on up here. How did you take all four positions? How many were in the race? 10 people.
All right.
First, second, third, and fourth. You know, most employers won't send you to go-kart school.
That is true.
Congratulations, guys. So you're going to send them to Vegas for the Nationals? You heard him. Okay, and now we have Captain Bob Johnson. What, you made him give you the helmet?
Yeah, I'll give it back. Okay. They did a tremendous job. I actually appreciate the opportunity. I just want to take a couple of minutes to recognize a couple of other employees at the station. And these two individuals are the ones, just to give you a little background, that are usually on the receiving end of your phone calls and the community's phone calls. You know, Lancaster takes in over 400 to 500 calls per day. And these two individuals are there every day doing that and dispatching units effectively. Well, on July 20th, one of our law enforcement technicians got off work after receiving calls all day, went to the local gas station to fill up, and as she walked in to pay, somebody followed her in, an armed robbery was committed. And she just calmly watched the individual do his business, and then he left, and she decided, well, I know what to do, and she followed him, got on the phone, called in to another law enforcement technician who is used to taking these type of calls, but not necessarily from her partner that she works with. Well, I got a little excited, but together they did a tremendous job dispatching units to where this suspect was going. Containment was set up, and at the end, a armed gang member who was on parole from Kern County was taken into custody, and the stolen money was recovered. So I think it's worthy of their recognition, so I'd like Sheena Matthews and Tanya Haywood to come up and be recognized for their efforts that day. Sheena, I wish I could have played the tape for you tonight. Sheena was the one that took the phone call, and she was as calm as can be until she realized who the caller was. And then she just went, oh my goodness, and she really started to get a little more excited. On the other hand, Tanya was pretty excited from the get-go. When you're following an armed gang member, in close proximity, trying to call it out without being seen is a tough job, but she did, again, phenomenal job. So you definitely made our department look good that day, as you do every day. So Sheena, congratulations. That's a commendation from the sheriff. And Tanya? Where are we going? Over here?
Okay, city manager, any items to be removed?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. We apologize for the inconvenience. We'd like to ask that CA1 be removed. Staff has some additional research that needs to be completed.
Okay. Anything else? Don't I have to remove C4?
I'm sorry, what was that?
I thought I had to pull one off the consent calendar.
No, I think it's NB1. NB1.
Oh, NB1. Okay, great. Thank you. Okay, I'm going to turn the meeting over to Ms. Sika.
Do we have a motion and a second for the adoption of the Housing Authority regular meeting minutes?
So moved.
Second?
Let's vote. It's unanimous. I will turn the meeting back over to Mayor Paris.
Thank you. So which one on new business am I removing?
NB1.
So that's the next thing up, right?
No, that's after the consent calendar.
Oh, we got to do
You have the successor agency NB1 first.
Okay, on the successor agency. Any speaker cards?
No speaker cards, Mr. Mayor.
Want to waive the report?
Yes.
Second.
Everybody agree? Good. Okay, let's vote.
We didn't make a
Oh,
motion.
we got to make the motion, that's right, okay. Want to make the motion?
Yeah, I'll also move that we review and accept the due diligence review of the low and moderate housing fund.
I second.
It's unanimous. Okay. Is there a motion to adopt the minutes from the council meeting?
So moved.
So moved.
Second.
Let's vote. Okay. It's unanimous. On the consent calendar, we removed item 1. Anything else to be removed? Any speaker cards?
We didn't remove item 1 on the consent calendar.
No.
No.
CA1.
That was in CA1. So CC1 is still intact. I'll move that we adopt the consent calendar as currently comprised.
Second.
Thank you. Then it's unanimous. Moving on to new business. I have to recuse myself. I have an office within 500 feet of the project. I'm turning the meeting over to the vice mayor.
Let the record reflect that the mayor has left the room, and I'm going to call NB1. There are no speaker cards. Without dissent, I'm going to waive the reading of the staff report, and I'll entertain any motions or discussion.
Motion to approve NB1.
I'll second that.
Call for a vote. It's unanimous. Could somebody ask the mayor to step back in? And I will now turn the chair back over to the mayor.
Okay, new business item 2, any speaker cards?
No speaker cards, Mr. Mayor.
I want to do it anyway. Mr. Neal?
Mayor Paris and members of the City Council, we're here to speak to you this evening about a very wonderful funding grant that we have been awarded for the Avenue K bikeway improvements. And in kind of introducing this, one thing that I'd like to point out, and I think it's very important that people realize, is that this is part of a larger and very diverse city effort to create a livable city. And that livable city is really based on 4 guiding principles. They are health, safety, economic vitality, and sustainability. This project, as we are doing with all of our projects that we look at, meets the tests of improving that for the residents of our community. One of the key efforts that the city made in moving forward on these types of things was, in the past year, the development and adoption of the city's master plan of trails and bikeways. Last year at this time, we had done extensive public outreach, we had done a lot of engaging of the community, but it was only a draft document at that time that was in the hands of our Architectural and Design Planning Commission. And one of the questions that was asked at that time was, would this plan assist in actually creating the kind of community that it called for us to do? And one of the answers that we gave is the plan itself was very important. This plan was adopted by you as a city council back in January. And since that adoption, and really even before that, the city has aggressively pursued through staff funding for the implementation of the various aspects of these plans. It's not a plan that's simply sitting on a shelf. It's something that we are actively using on a daily basis to help guide and create the form of the community that we want. Why is this plan important? It shows what the city's overall intent is for its long-term development, and this has been a very important part of going for these competitive funding opportunities. For instance, in this particular grant award that we're going to talk about, one of the things that the city has to have is a bicycle plan that is long range and includes the actual project that's being requested for funding. This plan and the city's efforts to date on other projects, including our road diets, our pedestrian emphasis, the work that we've done downtown, has created for us as a community a very positive reputation, and as a city that's committed to using these types of approaches and actually carrying these projects out. And the benefits that these kinds of things bring, we feel, will drive even more investment into our community of this type. As staff, I must say that we very much appreciate the leadership and support that's been displayed by our City Council on these issues. That leadership and that support has allowed us to effectively and successfully compete for these types of funding resources and to actually get these types of projects implemented within our city for the benefit of our residents. I would like to turn over the presentation now to Robert Neal, our Public Works Director, who's going to highlight for you the specific aspects of this project that we have received funding for.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and City Council. I'm going to describe this project in detail, but before I do, just a couple of quick comments. Bikeways are a priority for us. Where we have opportunities, we're putting them in, and we're creating those opportunities. We're going to go after grants. When we restripe, we're going to put in bike lanes. And as a result, you're going to see a number of new miles of bike lanes throughout the city over this next year. Secondly, we view bike lanes as an alternative transportation and a transportation system that we want to make safer. We're going to do this by widening the bike lanes that we have. We're going to add lighting. We're going to add bicycle detection systems at intersections, and we're even going to do some color coding of our bike lanes. With that, let me describe this project to you. This project is a bikeway improvement from on Avenue K8 from 15th Street West to Sierra Highway. In this photo, we're looking west along K8 towards 15th Street West. What you see is our bike lane falls short, doesn't meet that intersection. What we're going to do is widen Avenue K8 on what is the northwest abutment of that overpass in order to extend that bikeway so it connects to 15th Street West bikeways and also the Avenue K bikeway that goes further west. This is actually a little bit better shot of that. Here's the approach looking east on the bikeway. Let me see. We are. This is on K8 between 15th and 10th. We're going to widen the lanes, and I'm going to show you some and color code them, and I'm going to show you some diagrams for that. This is the way it looks right now, 5-foot lane, and this is the way it will look with a 7-foot lane. There's a portion of this where, because of the lane width, we go from what is 5-foot lanes on both sides to a 6-foot lane, but we will color code that. When we get to this intersection, we're going to put built-in a bicycle detection system. Basically, people who approach that intersection on a bicycle will be acknowledged, and the traffic signals will allow them to cross that intersection to continue eastbound. And we're going to do some improvements there as well.
Explain that to me more. What does it do?
Okay. What will happen is the current bike path that we have on the east side of 10th Street West, we're going to actually split that so it lines up with the lanes. We have a camera detection system at that intersection that picks up cars, and now we will also pick up bicycles, so that if there isn't a car there and there's a bicycle, it will acknowledge the fact that there's a cyclist at that intersection and adjust the timing accordingly.
So that's what those cameras are for up on the light?
Yes. I know there's some confusion about those cameras. We use that in lieu of the loop detection systems that we used to put in pavements. What we found is the loop detection systems, when work happened at the intersections, would be cut and they'd affect our timing. And now we've gone to these cameras, which do a much better job, and we can adjust exactly what traffic is picked up for turning movements and through movements and stuff.
Is there a record kept of that video?
We don't keep records of traffic going through that.
Not even for a short period?
I suppose we could, but when we set it up, there was a concern about privacy, and in fact, the cameras are really low-grade cameras. They're not intended for facial recognition or license recognition.
I'm thinking when there's a traffic collision, why don't we keep the video?
We'd have to install some additional equipment to do that.
Okay.
So
make my job easier is all.
We definitely want to make this city safer. This is the bike path. We're going to resurface that bike path. Right now, it's constructed at 10 feet, and what we're finding is cars will actually try to use it as a lane. And so what we're going to do is we're going to put post and cable and resurface it, make it a little bit narrower. It'll be 8 foot wide. And we will also install some low-level lighting in that pathway. So this is the way it looks right now. And in the future, we're going to have the post and cable with the solar lighting on it. And at There's another section along Gadsden. This road's not marked, and our intent is to, this is the way it looks now, we will paint bike markings through it. And at the the east end of our project, this is where it stops at Sayre Highway. And we will put in a traffic signal there and ramps that allow bicyclists to cross over to our bike path that runs all the way from the Palmdale Transit Center to Avenue J here in Lancaster. So it's an important connection that we're making. Lastly, I just want to talk about this is a state grant, the Bicycle Transportation account, which this last year was funded at $11.9 million, but that's to provide for bicycle needs throughout the entire state. And only between 30 and 40 grants are given each year. And it's a very competitive process. Out of 140, 150 applications, they'll select, well, this year they selected 39. I just want to acknowledge the work that's been done by staff to get us this money. In fact, it's the largest grant that was awarded this year. And that grants play a really vital part of our capital budget. And so Brian and I think, would like to acknowledge Elma Watson, who was really important on this, and Luis Garibay, who helped put this stuff together for us. So I want to that concludes our presentation. Brian and I would be happy to answer questions.
Mayor Paris, if I might add to that, I don't know if you mentioned it, we also got the highest grant in the state.
That's right.
This was the highest grant awarded by the state in terms of dollars.
So do we know what we did so we can do it again?
We hired the right people.
We have a great plan that we're working from.
Good. Any questions? Is there a motion to approve?
Motion to approve NB2.
Is there a second? Let's vote. It's unanimous. Okay, moving on to the council agenda, CA2. As I think all of you know, Measure L is a bond initiative on the part of the Lancaster School District to upgrade their facilities. I think we should endorse this and encourage people to vote for it for the simple reason that there's two obstacles that I see that are standing in the way of us becoming literally a world-class city. We need world-class schools, and we need better health care up here. And if we can tackle those two issues in the next 4 years, I think there is nothing that's going to stop us from just blossoming in ways that we've never even imagined. But we need to fix those two things. We need absolutely great schools. This is a start in that direction. After the bond issue passes, I think we then need to start looking at things a lot closer as to how we make all of our schools comparable to the SOAR school. I mean, we now know we can do it. We have a school that is the top 1% of the nation right here in Lancaster. And the kids who go to that school, there's nothing remarkable about them before they get there. They develop these kids into just incredibly bright, thriving, innovative students where every one of them go to college. I think we're on the cusp of something magnificent here. But it costs money. In this case, it's going to cost this much money from all of us. And I hope that the city joins us, and I hope you join also in endorsing Measure L.
Mayor Paris, if I could say, you actually hit two of the, if you do any research on the best places to live in the United States, it's usually made up of 5 components, and you named 2 of those 5. One is great schools, the second one is health care. Obviously, there's 3 more components, but clearly I think this is the right thing for us to do to make Lancaster one of those great places to live.
Okay. So,
being in the educational world myself, I totally agree with you, Mayor. Education is the key to the success of our community. and the children that we have here in our community is our future. I truly believe in Measure L that supports our local schools. And what I'm excited about with Measure L is that it supports the schools with their equipment, the buildings, the sprinkler system, the computers, everything that's needed, the books, everything that's needed for a student to receive the best education possible in our community. And the part that I really appreciate is that it's going towards the children, not the administrative staff. It's all for the children of our community. Marco and I support education here. We totally support you, Mayor, on supporting Measure L. We agree with you, and we truly believe that with education, our students will remain here and become productive citizens and give back to our community.
Mr. Mayor, I think it's also important to point out that the Lancaster School District hasn't had a bond issue for this for over 50 years.
Yeah, that's true.
So they really need the help.
That's true.
You got terrible timing.
That's true. Yeah. Yeah.
Anything else? Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to endorse the Lancaster School District Measure L.
I second.
Let's vote. One abstention from the Vice Mayor, who's running for the Assembly as the Republican candidate. All right. I thought you refused to sign that tax pledge.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. No action on the Financing Authority, no action on the Power Authority. City Manager, any announcements?
The only thing I'd like to acknowledge is the city had a great weekend with a couple events. The MOA fundraiser was spectacular. It was really a very nice event, raised some funds, and it allows us to continue bringing the museum collection to the schools, so it helped fund that. And then Bark at the Park was a 2-day event, the 20th anniversary. It was absolutely outstanding. One thing that Leanne Roth from the Valley Press pointed out, I had the opportunity to spend some time with her there, is that when you watch people at that event, they go up to other people and talk because they have something in common. They talk about, hey, that's a nice dog, and then they start getting talking, and it's just such a happy time. The other thing we noticed is that there are so many people from out of town at that event. All the awards went to people from out of town. It really is a regional draw. And Carol Kelly and her committee do a fantastic job. Rhonda, Patty Garibay, and our staff did a great job. And it gave the community a really nice event for 2 days. And I had a real good time at it, and I know the community did too.
Thank you. Okay. City Clerk.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the time for you to address the City Council on any items that are not on the agenda. You'll find speaker cards at the back of the council chambers. We ask that you fill them out completely and print as clearly as possible so that if necessary, the City Council, City staff, and the City Manager will be able to get in touch with you. As much as we appreciate your request to make comments before your 3 minutes begin, please understand your time begins when your name is announced. Individual speakers are limited to 3 minutes each. If you choose to ask a question during this time, any response by council will not extend your 3 minutes. When you approach the podium, you'll see 3 lights. The green light comes on when your time begins, the yellow light comes on when you have 30 seconds remaining, and the red light comes on when your time is up. We ask that you be considerate of the allotted time to allow other speakers to have their 3 minutes as well. Following this procedure will allow for a smooth and timely process for the meeting. State law prohibits the City Council from taking action on items not on the agenda, and your matter will be referred to the City Manager. Thank you.
Darlene Peterson, where have you been? I haven't heard from you in months. I haven't heard from you in months.
Well, I've been on good behavior, but that's going to stop.
Well, come on up.
Okay. First of all, I want to tell you that Avenue I was resurfaced, and it really looks great, and they did it in record time.
Worked my fingers to the bone.
Now
on that.
for the bad news.
Oh.
You knew there had to be some, right? The Outlook magazine of September 2011, page 12, outlines the established rules for signage within the city. Quote, with the exception of auto dealership, temporary signs such as banners, flags, pennants, and A-frames are not allowed. It goes on to say that signs that block the right-of-way or pose potential line-of-sight issues for pedestrian and vehicular traffic are sure to attract the attention of code enforcement. It also says, thus, avoid placing temporary signs on the sidewalk or any public right-of-way. I think the signage rules are good, but getting them enforced leaves a lot to be desired. I know for a fact the city has been aware of the A-frames, one in front of the pharmacy, skateboard shop, and Antiques on the Boulevard, plus 1,800 banner on the rails in front of the burrito shop there. They are displayed every day that they are open and have been for quite a while. I noticed more signs on the way up here. My questions are, what is the holdup on the enforcement? Are these businesses being given special privileges? And why, if they are? Thank you.
Good question. I'll find out.
Okay. I knew I could count on you.
Thank you. I'll look into it.
We had a variance in the specific plan.
Is there a variance in the specific plan for the boulevard?
Signage regulations in the downtown area are different under the specific plan than they are in the typical commercial areas.
There you go. They're given special treatment. Come down. I can't hear you. I'm deaf. I'm old. Not as old as some of us, but old.
That makes me feel better. I want to know why they have exceptions, why they need exceptions.
Well, if it's voted into the specific plan at the time we approve all of the downtown boulevard development, then it was voted on, and the public had a chance to comment. Any comment that should have been made or could have been made was at that time. There's nothing inappropriate about that.
You think putting an A-frame that says buy one shirt and get another one is appropriate to put on a sidewalk and another one put it on a curb?
Do I think that? No, I don't.
Well, why do we need
but
these
I don't get to change
exceptions?
the rules.
What if
These guys
everybody
do.
put an A-frame in front of their business all the way up and down the street?
Darlene, I agree. I think there
Why
are
don't
safety
you change
issues.
it? Have you got no power over here?
No, you see, there's all these other people that get to vote too.
You know,
Now, if I had tried to change that when we did the charter, you would have been the first one up here complaining.
Well, it needs to be changed because that is not right to give some people the right to put A-frames and the rest of them don't. If we're going to have one A-frame, let's all have them.
I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll put it on the agenda for next meeting, and if anybody wants to vote to change it, they can.
Because I really think, to tell you the truth, that kind of planning and giving some people some rights and the others none, it really stinks, to put it mildly.
Well, if you want to frame it that way, but there was...
That's the way I want to frame it, yeah.
Okay.
No, I want to frame it another way, but I'm trying to be polite.
Okay, Darlene, I know better than to fight with you.
Okay.
Make sure that gets on the agenda next meeting. Thank you. Michael Reeves. Don't expect to be treated so well.
Well, I'm going to be nice tonight. Mayor Perez, council, staff, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, I want to thank our AVTA representative, Councilman Mann and Councilman Chris, for having bus benches installed at 10th Street West and Avenue K going northbound. It really makes the corner look great, and it's better for the people to have a bus bench than to lean against a telephone pole. Thank you very much for doing that. I mentioned to Robert about the storm drains in the city. If you notice that on some of the streets, they're angled, and the debris goes down the streets and accumulates at the bottom of the streets, like, for example, J9. And we have cleaning about every 2 or 3 weeks. In the meantime, this debris stays down there. And I'm wondering if the city Department of Public Works, if they're riding around in trucks if they can have some shovels and a receptacle, so that when they see these accumulations of debris, that they can stop and shovel it up. You know, I don't mind doing it myself. I mean, many times on J9, I'll do the whole one side of a street and clean the gutter myself with a broom and pan, but when the stuff is just too much at the end, you know, by the gutter. And I think that would help us when it rains, too, if we could have that debris taken care of. I also mentioned to someone in the Parks Department, and I'll have to talk to the Chamber people tomorrow, but it would be great if the Christmas parade was later. Instead of 9 o'clock in the morning in 20-degree temperature like it was last year, if we could have it at 11 o'clock or noon, for people could, you know, after the parade, they could shop and not freeze to death. Because I remember seeing some of the council people freezing to death, and I was freezing to death last year. So maybe we could have the Christmas parade later this year. I'll talk to the Chamber tomorrow about it. But I want to end on a positive note. I want to tell you that I think the staff of this city is always exceptional. And I want to tell you that I think the city manager, most of the time, is exceptional. And I want to tell the council that many times you are exceptional. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Reeves. Okay, moving on. That's it for the speaker cards. And Councilman Christ, you wanted to say something about the pending litigation with Palmdale?
I'd like to do a portion of the Government Code, Section 54956.9, the pending litigation, Palmdale versus Lancaster, in open session.
Okay, let's do it. You want to do it now, or you want to do it when we come back?
Let's do it now.
All right.
It's a consensus.
You want to report on that?
Unless somebody made a motion.
I think I'll ask...
Do you wish we'd tell you this stuff in advance?
Yeah.
There were some speaker cards here.
Oh, there are. Sorry, we didn't see him. I was going to ask Allison to maybe report on the appeal and where we are with that.
That's called going downhill, you know that.
Should we do the speaker cards first?
Always want to get the expert involved.
Yeah, that's what he's... Okay. Joshua Taylor.
Thank you.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you for allowing me to speak to you today. I didn't even know I was going to be speaking to you guys. I just got in from LA. The reason why I'm up here is because I've been watching the news, probably like most people around here, and I've noticed the problem with the right to privacy. Right now, our government, you know, the guys in Washington are allowed to read our emails, and they're allowed to listen to our phone calls. They're allowed to read our text messages, according to the Patriot Act, according to all sorts of acts that are going on right now. And I come back here to find out that we've now got a plane flying 24 hours a day, 7 days a week in the Lancaster skies.
Let me clarify that.
I would like to know more about that.
I could only get it up 10 hours a day.
Okay.
It's not 24, but okay. But otherwise, you're correct.
Oh, no, thank you very much. I appreciate it, because the first thing I heard was it was up for 10 hours a day. Then I hear it's up for 12 hours a day, but only works for 2 hours. Then I hear it's up for 24 hours a day, but, you know, the guy gets 2 hours. I don't know. I'm hearing all sorts of weird things. All I know is the government is watching us at every single turn, it seems like. I mean, like, it's really starting to get really freaky out here. And next thing I know, I hear you're trying to watch us from the skies. Are you trying to increase that? What's going on with that?
You know, I really think what you have to do is see what we can actually see and what it actually does. You know, we watch 24 hours and see what the Predator does, and we think that that's what we're doing up here in Lancaster, and that's just not accurate. You know, does it give us a law enforcement advantage? Yes, it does. Do I know what you're doing? No, we don't, because it's not that clear. You know, it's designed to be the least invasive as possible and still be able to put eyes on a crime scene within 30 seconds. That's what it's designed for.
I understand the aspects that it has to do with law enforcement, and don't get me wrong, I understand the problems of law enforcement are extremely, it's difficult to be an officer. But the problem is right now, if anything I've said here right now is inaccurate, please tell me so. Tell me if our government is not allowed to read our emails or listen to our phone calls, and now you want to increase
I can tell you they're not
that. That's all
allowed
I'm
to.
saying.
I can tell you they're not allowed to, but are they? Of course they are. Let's be realistic. If they can do it, they can do it. They'll do it. Is the sheriff's department doing it? No, they're not.
Can any law enforcement? Because the last report I read was from a online news source that said that you are allowed to, that you're going to keep everything up to 2 years. That you're filming us 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and that it was like some sort of pet project of the federal government.
That is totally inaccurate.
Okay.
What that does is if we punch in the address or the coordinates, then we can look at that area, a very limited area of space, and we can see that in the station. Everything that it does see, we do keep. And the reason we keep it is because if there's ever a question, such as you're having now, about it being misused and invading people's privacy illegally, we can go back and see it. We can also audit there's only 4 deputies allowed to do it, and we can audit it and see, are they following the rules? Who's ever doing it is going to be accountable for its use. Is it invasive? Yes, it is. Is it going to keep the families of this community safer? Absolutely, it will. And it's a balancing test. Some people think that we shouldn't have anything that's invasive at all. Others think that they were very unhappy when we were inundated with gangs in this community, when we were running 20 murders a year instead of 0 murders. Last year it was 0. I can understand people that don't want any type of surveillance at all. I totally get that. That's not my job. My job is to keep 145,000 people safe, and that's what we're doing. If it makes people angry, I understand that. I think you have every right to be angry about it. But my concern is the hardworking families in this community, that they be safe. And that's what we're doing.
Thank you very much for answering my questions. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Okay. Is that it? Yes. Jay Close.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, City Council. My problem is that I'm here tonight is to see if something can be done about an open ditch with water flowing in it on the south side of J4. The J4 runs between 37th Street West and a little street called Palo Verde, I believe it is.
Why is water running through it?
Pardon?
Why is that happening?
That's what I will explain to you. Okay. The water seems to be coming from excessive on the sprinklers, whatever it is, flows down from J8 down to, on Community, down to J5, West J5. Then it does another 45 turn. It goes across a little short street, Guyman, which it then enters into J4. J4 is only about a half of a street from the Palo Verde over to 37th Street. This water accumulates in this ditch that runs there, runs over, down, that's it. And it accumulates very much down on 37th Street. I have here some pictures if it'll be of any help. I feel if the water were stopped somewhere when it comes off of the Guyman onto J4, that this would eliminate that, along with eliminating the need to have any spraying done on that, manpower, vehicle. But I'd like to see that ditch closed entirely and I see no reason for any water to be running down that.
Mark, he's right. This is a health hazard.
Yeah, we can get right on it. We'll get out there tomorrow.
Mr. Close, this is tremendous. I mean, citizens coming in with this stuff and telling us, I mean, that is if everybody did that, this community would get so much better so quicker. I can't tell you how grateful I am that you've done this.
Thank you.
This is tremendous. I mean, in the picture, I mean, I can't get it when you're saying it, but the picture says it. Look, I mean, it's a mosquito trap.
I'll call my son.
Isn't your son on the mosquito abatement?
He's the vice president. We'll send him right out there. No, Mark's going to fill it in, so.
Actually, we'll probably get the landowner to fix this, but we'll get it done, right? That shouldn't be a
I don't know if that's a landowner. That's a vacant lot on the south side of J4 there, which was started to be a housing development but went south.
It'll be fixed within a month, okay?
All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, now, shall we talk about Palmdale? Mr. Christ. Oh, that's right.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, council members, authority members. As you are aware, the City of Palmdale sued the City of Lancaster with regard to assistance provided to Antelope Valley Chevrolet. The court issued its decision in February of this year, and Palmdale has now appealed that decision. Recently,
did we win that case?
The court's holding was mixed. The court found that there was a technical violation, but provided that the city could not provide assistance until November the 9th, 2012, and that no monetary damages, attorney's fees, or any other compensation would be provided to Palmdale.
So the court said that on November 9th,
2012,
that we can provide?
Correct. The injunction terminates at November 9th, 2012. Most recently, at the City Council's direction, the city sent a letter to the City of Palmdale in response to their filing of the appeal, asking for a meeting with Palmdale's elected officials. The response from Palmdale was to decline to meet with Lancaster regarding this litigation. So.
We asked them to meet with myself, Mayor Paris, two of their representatives, to
Correct.
Make sure that we're not wasting the taxpayers' money?
That is correct. And they declined to meet with you.
Okay.
Are there any further questions?
Well, is the only purpose of this, they're making sure that we can no longer give any benefits to Antelope Valley Chevrolet? They're harming our businesses.
Their stated purpose is to prevent Lancaster from ever providing any assistance to Antelope Valley Chevrolet. That's correct. Forever.
You know, I'm less concerned about their motivations and their judgment on whether or not that's appropriate for cities to be doing. But what I am concerned about is when we, in good faith, ask to meet with their leadership and they give us the finger. And let's be clear, that's exactly what they did. They sent us a letter. They might as well put a picture with their middle finger raised at us. And it's just simply disgusting to me that they have cost us how much money now?
Ours is probably in the neighborhood of $400,000.
I would estimate.
So you have to assume that they've spent the same amount.
They spent more.
And they've spent more. They're on the edge of bankruptcy as it is. I mean, that's not a secret. I mean, they're so fiscally mismanaged that I mean, we all know that. And when we say, okay, well, let's just sit down and see if we can work it out, and they send us this just insulting letter back, it's incredibly frustrating. And it should be frustrating to the citizens of both cities that this type of gamesmanship is going on. I mean, every adult in this community knows that if you can get people to sit down and work it out, it's a lot better than paying lawyers millions of dollars. Now, do us lawyers like the millions of dollars? Well, yeah, we do. But it's not the proper role of leadership. And it's appalling to me, as I'm sure it is to the rest of this council.
It's certainly disappointing.
If they want to engage in litigation games, they've come to the right place. But it's stupid. It's just stupid.
Well, we're certainly prepared to meet their fight.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. We're now going to go into closed session on the rest of this legal nonsense we got pending.
Mr. Mayor, it is under Government Code Section 549, 56.9A on each of the items listed on the agenda.
See, isn't that a much better way to do it? Just have you do it. Okay. Thank you. We're back. And our illustrious city attorney will report on our meeting.
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, the City Council met in closed session under Government Code Section 549, 56.9A concerning the Community Action League case, the NAACP, and Rubin and the Palmdale versus Lancaster case, and gave direction to council concerning each of those matters.
Thank you. Anything from anyone? Next meeting, I want to discuss changing the time to 6 o'clock. The agendas have come down to being really small, so our reasons for doing it at 5 seem to not be as present as they were before. So just keep that in mind. We'll discuss that issue then. And that's all I have. Anybody have anything else? So, the other thing I have is, Mr. Chris, do you think that ABTA can start putting up air-conditioned bus stops?
Air-conditioned bus stop?
No, I'm serious.
We do it for 50% of the year.
Really?
Yeah.
Yes. I haven't seen one.
Yeah, November through May.
That was unfeeling. Poor people out there, 110 degrees.
We are spending, I think it's close to $500,000 on improving the bus stops in Lancaster. The first section went into the park and rides, so we've identified some different areas, and we tell them from now on we want all the pullouts for the buses so they don't block traffic, and so we're starting to get into those type of areas. We're looking at Avenue K and 10th, 15th Street, and J, so the highly pedestrianized places, that's what we're taking a look at. So,
they have solar-powered, air-conditioned bus stops. Mm-hmm. Would like you to look into it.
Now that you've been on for a while, you've got all those bus stops in Lancaster. Have you figured out who picked that color for the bus stops that everybody complains about?
I heard it was you.
No, it wasn't me.
He said it was somebody that had an art background.
It was Mark.
Mark? That was the last decision of any substance I made when it came to colors, or was that a substance?
And we're living with the consequences for how many years?
You told us you had something to do with the fair logo. I actually improved the fair logo. I put an eye on it, which they won't do. Yes, we will live with the consequences of that ill-fated decision. We can absolutely take a look at it, and we'll bring it up at Tuesday's meeting.
I just think it's, I'm absolutely serious about it, especially the stops that are designed for the older citizens and for medically people that are using it to go to the hospital.
Are they air-conditioned, or are they just fanned?
No, I think they're air-conditioned. Solar-powered, air-conditioned.
They have some in Palm Springs and such where they do misters in very hot, like Phoenix and Palm Springs, I know. I've never seen air-conditioned ones, but I know on some of the trains in Phoenix, they at least have misters.
I just think we should look at it.
Well, there's plenty of capital money on the transportation agencies, and if, we'll find it. We'll get it done.
Yeah, at least they won't be spending it on strippers,
Anymore.
Yeah. Which, has anybody been arrested yet?
Close. That's all I could say.
So is there going to be a lynching party, or, oh, never.
There was.
I can't say those things, can I? Okay. All right. I think it's probably time that we close. Ms. Sato.
The Housing Authority meeting is adjourned until October 23rd, 2012 at 5 p.m.
City Council meeting is adjourned until Tuesday, October 23rd, 2012 at 5 p.m. Carol, my day is done and I'm coming home.